As I was listening to speeches and seeing all of you here, I was thinking back to my very first day in Congress. I was sworn in a special election, so there's no fanfare, but just a special election. I went to my office, very bleak, because I was brand new, and on my desk was one big fat book, and it said, The History of the Ottoman Empire. The only thing in my office, the only thing I had there. But they were there early, on my first day, with this deception. And I thought, I don't have to read this book. It was the Ottoman Empire. Why don't you just allocate it to them and get with the future and help us support this initiative to declare what happened in Armenia as a genocide. But they have been at it for a long time. Frank Pallone knows that. And he was leader of the, and has been the leader of the Armenian caucus, and then with Anna Eshoo, Jackie Spears, so many of us, and now our Senator, Adam Schiff, all of whom were part of our passing the legislation to declare what happened in Armenia 111 years ago as genocide. And that wouldn't have happened without all of you, your outside mobilization, calling the members, right, Frank? And remember, this was tough because we kept trying to bring it up, but we didn't want to bring it to the floor and lose. So we didn't want to take that chance. We knew we had to bring it when we would win. How many presidents told us during the campaign that they were for it until they were sworn in? And then we had to deal with that. But we were fortunate under Joe Biden. It's an honor to join my colleagues, community leaders, and advocates as we remember the victims of the Armenian Genocide. Thank you for insisting that America live up to its ideals. When I visited, thank you for mentioning our trip, a number of us were on the trip to Armenia in 2022. Our congressional delegation stood at the Armenian Genocide Memorial and spoke clearly about what we knew from here and what we saw from there. This is a memorial to a genocide that took us so long to recognize in the Congress. Over a century ago, 1.5 million Armenians were systematically killed in one of the darkest chapters of human history. Families were torn apart, communities erased, people targeted for who they were, and yet through an unimaginable loss, the Armenian people endured. Their resilience, your faith, and your culture have carried forward a legacy that would not be extinguished. Thank you for that. Recognition of the Armenian Genocide is not simply about acknowledging the past. Really, as Congressman Sherman said, it's about the future. It's about actions we take in the present and the future. That is why we must continue to speak clearly, teach honestly, and act boldly in defense of human rights around the world. The Armenian American community embodies the very best of our nation with their strength, your strength, perseverance, and unbreakable commitment to freedom for everyone. Across generations, Armenian Americans have enriched our country and remind us of the power of moral clarity. As we remember those we lost, let us commit again to the promise of never again, not as words, but as a responsibility and as a promise. Responsibility to stand against hatred, to defend the vulnerable, and uphold the dignity of every human being.